Hello, hi. So in this first tutorial, I'll be showcasing the very first challenge, and we'll be starting with the blueberry yield per hectare analysis. And this is quite a quite easy one, but I'll walk you through the interface, how to use the interface, and some tips. And I'll also show you how to analyze the instructions and how to query basically the schema that you have here. So let's get started. First of all, we're tasked with evaluating the blueberry production for the 24-25 season. So at the beginning, we have a filter, have two filters actually, which are the blueberry, obviously, which is crop, and the 24-25 season. So let me write it down here in the comments. So blueberry, crop, and 24-25 season. Perfect. And then we want to assess the yield efficiency for each variety. This obviously involves calculating the yield per hectare to determine which varieties are performing best across the farms. And they ask us to round the results to two decimal places. Perfect. So now the objectives are to aggregate the total yield, okay, retrieve the cultivated area in hectares, compute the yield per hectare as well, and filter the data on 24-25 in blueberry. And this is the result we should have. Let's get started. Now for the schema, we have the yield, which is a fact table, which has a date, the crop ID, the yield in tons, and the season ID, which will be used for filtering purposes. We have the crops and the farms and the seasons, which are dimension tables. Yeah, exactly. And then we have the crop ID, which will be the foreign and primary key, variety, which is here, and the area per hectare. And finally, the season reference. Okay, so let's just take a look at these tables. For the crops, perfect. We have the blueberry crop. So for example, if we want to filter on crop like blueberry, we should have two rows. Perfect. Now let's keep this, let's comment it. Let's see what we have in the seasons table. Got it. So we have the season reference should be 24-25. Okay, so where season reference like 24-25. There we go. And finally, let's get started with the query. So first of all, we're gonna select from crops. Okay, we're gonna give it an alias, a C. And we're gonna left join it just to make sure that all the rows and crops are taken into consideration. And then join it with the yield table. There we go. And we're gonna give it a Y alias. Perfect. And then we're gonna obviously join it by crop ID. So C should be crop ID as well. And we're gonna also join with the seasons on S season ID equals yield season ID. There we go. Now, I think we're done in terms of tables. Now comes the filters. So we already did them here. C dot sorry, like blueberry, and S dot season reference like 24-25. And finally, let's just make sure that this runs smoothly. Perfect. Now we're gonna have to get all the columns that are asked for. First, we need the crop. Perfect. We need also the area. There we go. As crop area per hectare. The name of the columns is very important for the response or the answer to be correct. And then we'll have crop variety as well. But here we need to calculate the total yield in tons. So The total yield is basically this. Okay, there we go. And we're gonna give it this alias. But remember, we've been asked to round the answer to two decimal places. So let's do exactly that. And the final thing is to calculate the yield per hectare in kilograms. So we're gonna have the yield in tons, divided by the crop area, obviously. But obviously, we need to multiply by 1,000 and round everything to two decimal places. And we're gonna call it yield per hectare in kilograms. But almost always when you use an aggregating function, you need the group by clause. So we're gonna group by crop, by area as well, and by crop variety too. Let's run this and let's make sure that everything is correct. Crop variety, yield, I think everything is correct. And let's submit the answer. Okay, so we have a problem, I think. Let me check. Ah, yes. It was the yield per hectare per kilograms wasn't rounded. So let's check whether there's a problem with the round function. Yes, we need to normally multiply this. Let's run this. Whoa, there we go. Let's submit the answer. There we go. Make sure to always respect the same column names and leave some feedback if you think that the challenge is too easy, too hard, or maybe if there's a bug. Let's hope there's no bugs, obviously. But the most important thing is to have fun and really try to learn new things. Thank you, and we'll see each other in the next challenge.